Hello, nerds, and welcome to another episode of me watching my DVDs. I might be talking a little bit quieter than usual. I'm going to try not to because I'm starting to record this one 12:30 at night, and there's a bunch of people asleep around the house, and there's a cat asleep in the room. I actually wanted to do this one earlier today, and I was a bit slack actually, and yesterday as well. But, it's just that, I've got important things to do in my spare time, like catch up on The Walking Dead and read the comics of The Walking Dead. I hadn't read them before, so I'm reading them now. And, what was it? Eating a whole lot of melted cheese and toast. That's a good one as well. And playing Arkham City through for the first time on my Nintendo Wii U, because the Nintendo is constantly the best gaming system ever. And those are the important things. And so, as I mentioned, or I think I mentioned in my last podcast of Jumanji, that I was going to go off in a bit of a different direction with Battle Royale this time. So I was pretty happy to choose that one because, I've been meaning to rewatch it for a while anyway, and so this podcast seemed like a really good idea, or a really great excuse to do just that. So, and I'm really glad to revisit it because it's a movie that I really loved as a teenager, and I even remember the first time I heard about Battle Royale. I was at my friend Jamie's house in Pimpala Road, and we were watching television, and we were just hanging out, and we put on some movie show, and they were talking about what's all the rage this week in the world of film, and they were talking about a bunch of crap, all this sort of boring, movies that I didn't care about, whatever was coming out at the time. Some of it was probably good, I don't know, but just sort of watching this regular movie show, and then they're like, "Well, now we're going to talk about this one," and I did not pick up on the name of it, and but they were like, "Oh yeah, there's people, saying how it's really controversial, and they're probably going to ban it because it's got high school students, sent to an island and having to kill each other, and oh, good gravy, it's horrendous and all this stuff. What does society come to if there's movies like this?" And I thought, and they had a bit of a clip of these guys running around shooting people and all this stuff. I was like, rah, screaming, and and I just remember thinking, that sounds fucking awesome, holy shit, that's a really good idea. And I was in high school, and I was like, man, people in high school do suck. That'd totally make sense if the government started, there's as long as it's not my class. And then I was like, oh shit, it probably would be my class, in school with a bunch of dickheads. And, I went to that school, so, clearly it was a bunch of dickheads. Anyway, so, yeah, I was like, this is just totally a really cool idea. As a teenager, I was like, yeah, I like seeing teenagers in films, in roles that aren't kind of angsty or whatever. And, there's a good level of angst, but, they get to, kill each other with all sorts of hullabaloo. And plus, I like violent movies, and I was broadening my horizons. I think I just started to kind of delve into the world of foreign film, and that's something that I'm glad I get to do now as well. This would be my first non-English speaking movie to be doing on this, and I almost popped my cherry here with that by choosing Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee, because that is a fucking awesome movie, and I do need to watch that again. It's been a while, but I wasn't feeling a kung fu movie right now. I was feeling more crazy Japanese kids running around murdering people, but yeah. So I remember hearing about all that hullabaloo of it, and I was like, oh, I need to find out what the name of that movie is at some point. And then, I kind of didn't think of it for a while, but I always had it in my head that if I ever find out what this movie is, I'm going to check it out. And I believe it might have been my brother who actually found the name out of it. Well, because the one thing he was pretty good for when I was in high school was if he saw a cool movie or a trailer for a cool movie, he'd track me down and be like, "Oh, dude, I think that you'd really dig this." And yeah, and most of the time he was right. Like, I can't think of one movie that he suggested to me thinking like, as I'd like it movie, as a movie that I'd like. It's like I think he seems to have a pretty good idea of the things that I dig. And yeah, he's like, "Oh, I just saw a trailer for this movie, and it seems like you'd totally dig it." I was like, "Oh yeah, what's it called?" He goes, "Battle Royale." I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's it about?" He goes, "A bunch of Japanese kids killing the fuck out of each other on an island," and I know that was it. So like, I was like, "Oh great," I went off and bought it. I didn't. Yeah, I was big into renting movies at the time, but that one, it's just like I just had to. I knew it was going to be a movie that I'd watch again and again, and I did. And I'd like show it to my friends, and I'd be like, "Oh, guys, you got to check this out! It's really cool." And thinking that I was all that shit because like I watched a Japanese movie, and like fucking like I was the first guy to think that like it was cool to watch a Japanese movie in the early 2000s, like which is around the same time that all the fucking big horror movies started, becoming a big deal. Like, the fucking The Ring and The Grudge and One Missed Call and Dark Water and all that malarkey. You see how cool I am? I can list them. That's because I was a little fucking nerd who was all like, "Oh, I was like, I'm the best film guy ever. I've watched Japanese horror films." And now I think back to that teenager and I'm like, "You little wanker," like, not that they're bad movies or anything, but just like, wow, what a smug little shit I was to think I was all that. That night, I also kind of fancied one of the Japanese exchange students. So I was all like, it was a way to talk to her. I'd be like, "Oh, hey, what's up? I got this, DVD. It's like from Japan. Isn't that crazy?" Like, "Oh my god, yeah." Like, but yeah, that totally didn't work. So I was oh god, just you ever want to go back in time and just punch your 16-year-old self in the crotch? You probably do. You probably do. So don't worry. I'm less of a douchebag than I was then. I think. Well, no, I think I'm still a douchebag, but at least I'm a more self-aware douchebag. It's kind of more, it's less tragic, or no, it's more tragic. I don't know. We'll figure it out together because that's what this is about. This is a learning experience. I like to think that these little episodes, these are, I like to think that there's life lessons in them, which there really isn't. It's just, a douchebag waffling about movies incoherently for any period of time. Anyway, so Battle Royale, awesome. Had the DVD, watched it a shitload, and I remember the first time watching it, just being like, I've never seen a movie like this. Like, it's like, it was crazy, just absolutely crazy. And I was like, wow, I actually, I suppose like foreign film wasn't something that I was like hugely interested. It was kind of like the time I was sort of maturing in my taste in film, I think, because I was still pretty young when it came out, and so it was actually a good step for me in the right direction of like, of actually giving other sort of cultures a chance and trying something that I hadn't tried before, and watching stuff with a bit more kind of darker content and things like that. Because I was I was an idiot. I was a child before that, really. Like, I had a terrible taste in movies, as all kids do. I had The Pest on DVD, or no, I bought The Pest much later, which I love that movie, and it's terrible. But Battle Royale, and like it's just I remember just sitting down and watching it, thinking like, this movie is unreal. So like, and the fact that they were like killing teenagers was like, that was something that I didn't expect. Just how many of them died. Like, because I've seen like sort of slasher films, horror films, and stuff like that. But they're also kind of like over the top and sort of ridiculous. It's like, oh, this is a monster man, like Jason, a big guy in a hockey mask, and he's killing teens, and they're having sex and all this stuff because they shouldn't be doing that. But it's like, oh, big monster man, jump out, scary. And they're supposed to be killing people, but they're all like, and then this is just like, some of these kids, they just take a school that, like, one of the crappiest, not even, like, I think it's a lottery, if I remember right. So just one of the crappiest classes. But thing is, not, like, they're just, like, rebellious teens, but they're not necessarily, like, awful people. They're just not productive members of society. You know, they smoke, they do all the things that normal teens do. And it's the fact that they're so kind of such regular characters and just thrown in together and in this really sadistic environment and told you have to kill each other or you're all going to die, and just watching how that fucking what chain of events it starts off. And yeah, I thought like that really kind of appealed to me. I thought it was, you know, it was something different. I hadn't seen anything like it. And I got just totally hooked on it. And yeah, I nerded out hardcore, and I showed all my friends. As I said before, I'm kind of repeating myself a bit there. And I started, and then the girl in it went on to be in, or one of the girls in it, like, went on to be in fucking Kill Bill, and, you know, that was cool, you know, to see her doing something else. And the main dude was, you know, he ended up doing that Death Note film based on the anime thing. This guy writes names in a book, and this big floaty-haired douchebag kills them. Yeah, anime isn't really my cup of tea. Like, I used to watch Pokemon when I was a kid. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z. But it always just gets weird. Like, Neon Genesis, I loved it as a kid. I was like, holy shit, giant robots powered by teens fighting, you know, giant aliens. And then I came back and watched it about 2 years ago, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's weird shit. Fucking deranged fucking characters. Really dark content, you know. And I was like, man, fuck that noise. So I kind of don't really watch anime anymore. And so watching a live action movie based on an anime really didn't, you know, rustle my jimmies in a good way. So, anyway. No, okay. And then, but another thing it has opened the door for me to look at, was it Takeshi? Was it Beat Takeshi or whatever they call him, or Takeshi Kitano or whatever? Like, I don't know if I'm saying it right at all, but, you know, he's got, like, I was like, oh, it's this dude, and I looked at some of his movies then, you know, because I saw him in the cover of his movies, so I recognized him from Battle Royale, and I was like, oh, let's see what he can do, and I watched Violent Cop and Fireworks and fucking that Brothers one and Zatoichi, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool, I like him. But then I found out that, like, he's the fucking Takeshi from Takeshi's Castle. Like, man, can you imagine how good life must be to be that? Like, what a gift to give the world. Because that is just a fucking terrific show. And it just keeps on giving. You can always come back to it. The one thing, like, I ended up, you know, just from thinking about this and, like, from doing this podcast, I was like, oh, I get to watch Battle Royale again. That movie's awesome. And I was, like, looking it up, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember. You know, I was looking at the, you know, the cast and stuff like that. And, you know, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember seeing this guy, you know, in, you know, fucking that Death Note thing. And I remember the girl from Kill Bill, and I was like, oh, this dude, like, Takeshi, awesome. And I was like, I'm going to watch some Takeshi's Castle. And I went to YouTube. And fuck me, is there anything worse than the guy who does the English voiceover? When, you know, when it got released in fucking Britain or Australia, or I don't know if it's different in Australia, but, like, in the UK, like, if you put it on, they've got, like, the most fucking hateable man doing the least funny fucking commentary to that show. Oh, I would pay money to, like, watch a snuff film with him in it. Like, my mate, oh, gee willikers, I hate him so much. Just for not only for having the most annoying country's voice in the world, but just that lack of fucking comedy. The nothing he adds to it. He makes people falling on their face not funny. He makes it hard to watch. I hate that man. I hate him with a burning passion. Like, oh. It made me angry. It made me sad. I went through a whole series of emotions in 2 seconds or something like that. I had to go, like, I went off and found, like, just something else to watch. It's just the worst. It was painful and it was cruel. Like you should have a warning, like just any kind of sort of disclaimer before when you turn it on to something like that alerts you to the fact that you're going to be listening to some fuckhead waffle for, oh god. And now, if you're going to be like, oh, but Tommy, you didn't give a fucking disclaimer. Fuck you. You at this point, this is the 7th podcast. If you're listening to this one, it either means that, you got lost on the internet somewhere, or you listened to the ones before it, so you probably knew what you were getting into. And, this is 15 minutes in, so even if you're not one of those, if you was wondering, you've had 15 minutes to know that, that this isn't a good show. This is, the ramblings of a dickhead. So, come on. You really can't. You've got yourself to blame here. The fact that you've spent now 16 minutes listening to me, you should, you could be using your time so much better, You probably won't. You'll probably just eat an entire block of cheese because it's probably 4 a.m. for you if you're listening to this show, or your laptop is broken and you can't load a different page. You accidentally clicked on this, or you clicked on this and then something big fell on you, and you can't get it off you, and so you're stuck here listening to me. In which case, my condolences. But I guess I'm not going to stop talking. I am going to approach this episode a little bit differently, though. 1 second. I am going to approach this one differently because I said before, it was pretty late tonight when I started. I got home late. Well, late. Well, it's not that late, but late enough tonight. And, I'm a bit kind of snoozy, but I just wanted to make sure that I made a start on the podcast because I really, really want to get it up as soon as possible. But I just don't trust myself to stay awake for a full film tonight. As much as and also, I have a beer in my hand right now, which is cool. And, Battle Royale would be a great movie to watch while relaxing with a beer. But there's a very good chance that I'd fall asleep, and I fucking hate falling asleep watching movies that are good. Don't get me wrong, I love nothing more than falling asleep in front of some movies. Shitty comedies, I love falling asleep in front of, like Paul Blart Mall Cop. I'll fall asleep in front of that any day of the week. Or, if I'm drunk, political thrillers. Those are the best. I understand them. All the language they use to talk about, parliament and journalism and, what this code means and who that guy is. And he's some sort of important character or some important person in the government and all these things. All these titles which otherwise just scare and confuse me. I feel like, I get this. State of Play. I think that's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. If I watch that movie sober, I think it's the most boring thing in the world, and I don't really, I can't pay attention to it. I don't get the dialogue. Maybe I don't know. I'm being really negative towards this one, but I just can't get into it when I'm sober. But then I get drunk. I'm like, oh my god, this is so gripping. And then, there's people on the internet, and they're getting oh shit, these crazy videos. They're looking for a guy. They're chasing around. Who's that guy? He's got a beard. No, is he? Oh, no, he's not the guy before the beard. Because, that's me doing my whole kind of oh, wow, I'm just going to stop myself here before I shoot myself in the foot. But, there's loads of bearded dudes, with dressed suspiciously in that movie. It's kind of part of the whole thing. And, but yeah, I've become so into it when I've got some beer in me. And when you're drinking beer, it's always great to watch, Japanese high school kids kill the fuck out of each other. And that's totally what I want to do right now, but I will fall asleep, and that would suck, because then I'd have to get up and I'd watch the whole film again, but it'd be different because I would have already seen the first half before, and then I'd be like, should I fast forward now? But you shouldn't ever fast forward. If you fall asleep, next time you go back to it, just go back to the start, because if you're not really watching it, then you're losing the momentum. And so it's very important to me that I do it in one sitting, and then so I can talk about it immediately afterwards as well. So I mean, I won't be, even more, I'm going to be way more tired at the end of a fucking film, and I figure that I may as well just stay up and watch an episode of The Walking Dead, get my shut eye, and get up and knock this out in the morning. So that seems like the plan. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. One film I'll never do would be Battle Royale 2, because that movie is a pile of shit. I think it's every bit as bad as the first one is good. And I remember it took me ages to get up a copy of it, and the first copy of it that I got was a pirate copy, because it hadn't got a release in Australia at that time, and so I got some fucking dodge copy. And the copy that I had didn't have subtitles. I was like, well, fuck this. It took me so long to get this copy anyway. I'm just going to watch it and make up my own plot. That's what I did. And I was like, oh, this movie kind of stinks. But it'll probably be better when I get the actual plot. And then I realized after watching the actual movie that my plot was better. Battle Royale 2 is a fucking sad boner of a movie. And so, but I suppose that's sequels for you. But we're not here to worry about sequels today. Today is not a day of sequels. Today is a good day for drinking beer and talking about good things, like Japanese teens killing each other on an island. And the only thing that could make it better would be the addition of Josh Hutcherson, which is, boom, the Hunger Games right there. Now, I'm not going to say the Hunger Games is better than Battle Royale, but I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And I think, it seems like, he made Zathura better. Or it's like, Zathura's great. This is great. I mean, the Hunger Games is great. So it seems like J. Hutch, he's the one to look out for. He's going to, will be taking the world by storm. The next Tom Cruise. He's about the same height as him. They're both short, aren't they? J. Hutch. I think I'm going to do like a J. Hutch marathon at one point. That'd be cool. Or I'll get a J. Hutch face tattoo. I think that the world needs more J. Hutch. But right now, what the world needs is Battle Royale. So after 23 minutes of waffling about absolutely nothing, I'm going to leave you now. And so for you, it will be about 17 seconds. For me, it will be sometime tomorrow. I will be back, and I will be talking Battle Royale. So I'll see you chickens in a minute. Boom. Alrighty, so I'm just back from watching Battle Royale. So I just kept going with last night. It is tomorrow, from when I started, which is a good thing for me, I think, because I did not last an episode of anything, passed out on the couch with my beer. And so first thing today is I got up and watched Battle Royale. Couldn't find the DVD, so I had to rock it on Netflix, which was grand, on my Nintendo Wii U, which I still stand by being the best fucking system ever. I actually made a mistake in the first half of this podcast, and 10 points to anyone who can spot it. I'm not going to give any hints towards it, because it's just a matter of, if you picked up on it, you probably got it. If not, you'll figure it out. I'm not going to say even, it's in regards to movies, obviously, but I just got a bit of trivia wrong. And, not even really trivia, but I just, I made a silly mistake. And we'll see if anyone picks up on it, and then you can get 10 points. For what? I don't know. They'll just be fashionable 10 points. So, I went back and watched Battle Royale again, and it was kind of weird. It took me a while to get back into that sort of headspace. I haven't watched any, I guess I haven't watched it in a while, and it was a bit of a culture shock for me. I was like, this is a little cornier than I remember it, but still really good. Like I was thinking like, yeah, yeah, just stylistically and how overly dramatic teenagers are. And I suppose I didn't notice how overly dramatic teenagers were when I was a teenager, because I literally haven't watched this movie since I was still a teen at the end of my age. So yeah, that's pretty much where I kind of felt. I just watched it and I'm like, I'm older now, and some of these things stand out to you then a bit differently, and you kind of you react to the characters differently, and you think about things as well, like the whole law thing. It goes before I was a lot more forgiving of like, all right, so there's this law and it's passed, and all the kids go to the island and kill each other, and then you kind of think like, who would pass this law? That is fucking demented. It's like if they want to do like some kind of quality control, why don't they just like like I mean, having the kids sort of maliciously murder each other, that doesn't really work. Like, and it's not really a deterrent if the kids don't know about it, because the amount of money it would cost to do this, they could just sort of come down on the students a bit harder at school, and they wouldn't have to have them off murdering each other, because they don't even know about it. They rock up at the induction day, and there's your man writing on the blackboard, and he's like, "This is the BR Act. Does anyone know what this is?" And none of them have a clue. We know it's been televised because of the start of it, and there that like smiley bitch who won the previous years. They're all like, "Oh my god, look at her, she's smiling," and it's like, well, why is all these news cameras filming her if it's not going to be broadcast? Like, it's like, so obviously there should be at least one guy in the school who's heard something about, particularly if you go to a school where like students stab teachers in the ass, and it's like, why not just press charges against him? He stabbed someone. Like, I mean, okay, the teacher ends up killing him, but fucking like on an island. But he didn't know that back when he got stabbed in the ass. He knew who the kid was who stabbed him in the ass. Just a girl hid the knife. Why would you hide the knife as someone who just stabbed a teacher in the ass? You don't go around stabbing teachers. You don't go around hiding knives for people who stab teachers. And what sort of teacher just lets someone stab them in the ass and doesn't press charges? And everyone's bailed on school that day. Why stick around to stab a teacher on the day everyone's ditching, where you can't even blend into a crowd where it's obviously you who stabbed someone? That kid, it's like, he didn't need to go to an island. Like, he wasn't doing good anyway. Like, he was not a smart guy. It bugged me, actually, when the girl was kind of smiling at the start of the movie, the girl who's won the previous Battle Royale. Because just any time where you've got, like, a girl who's, like, supposed to be sort of menacing or spooky, and I think they just do it back. They just tilt their head down, look into the camera, and, like, try to do a scary smile. And it's just like... But it's been done so many times that it's kind of hard to do now, I think. And they give her a doll as well. It's like, yeah, but she's 14, 15. Like, why would she have a doll? It's like, oh, but she's kind of got this, like, this crazy child thing going on. No, it's just not doing it for me. I'm sorry. It's done too much. Stop it. Little girls aren't scary anymore. Maybe if they're in, like, a Silent Hill sort of thing. Like, I mean, Silent Hill games are just good and scary anyway, but, like... But little girls in movies... I know it's, like, for the most part, it's just like you've got these bad child actors, and bad child actors aren't good at being scary. And, I don't know. So, yeah, and it just... there's a few things in it as well. Like, the main guy, he's just the worst person to hang out with. Like, his life is a total bummer. Like, his mum dies, and then his dad's like fucking Gil Gunderson. Oh, I tried to get a job, and they keep hanging up on me. And then, like, he goes, Shuya, the kid, comes home and finds his dad fucking hanging himself with his pants down, and his suicide note written in toilet paper draped over him. Like, fucking... That's a guy with lows. I mean, obviously the suicide thing is a bummer, but just fucking hell, like, what a way to do it. To know that your son is going to find you, so to, like, out of embarrassment, take your pants off and write your suicide note in toilet paper. Like, it's like, go, you can do it, shit. In toilet paper draped over him. That's not really, like, that's not really going to give him that much motivation, I don't think. Like,
I was like, what the fucking hell? I didn't realize how shit that was for the main guy to come home and find. Like, like, obviously, it's a terrible loss for him. But just the way it's done as well, hanging from a fucking cord with his pants down. Oh my god, it's like such a, he's just degrading. He degrades himself like that. Oh, that poor dude. And but then his fucking best friend gets his fucking throat blown out, and then everyone he visits gets killed in the movie. All the group of girls and all the guys were his friends. Well, I mean, I suppose everyone does die, but man, it's just like it's a major bummer. Just God, life would just suck to be that dude. But yeah, like, him and the girl, they're all right. They're kind of wieners. They've got their pot lid and their binoculars, and they're running around like, oh, we won't kill anyone. We'll be, good and nice and all this stuff. But, there's people who are stupider than them in the whole film. And, but more on everyone else later. The two transfer kids who rock in, they're pretty gosh darn cool. Like, you got the one dude who's like, who won it before, who has like a headband and he smokes cigarettes and is like Kawada or something like that. He ends up helping them out. Like, I was looking at it, like, white dudes, regular sort of, well, regular, I mean, having grown up in predominantly fucking white areas, regular for me, I suppose. But yeah, like, we can't get away with accessorizing so much. Like, you really look like way more of a dickhead if you rock a headband or something. Not that I want to rock a headband. I think that a headband's a hard thing to pull off. But I feel like you kind of come off as a tool a lot faster if you're a white guy. And you need to really kind of be aware of that. Like, it's like getting dreadlocks. You just shouldn't if you're a white dude. I don't think anyone should wear 3/4 pants. But, this isn't about fashion anyway. But, well, it kind of is, because, like, that dude's cool as shit. It's like fucking, yeah, you can get away with, like, bolder sort of, just like the Matrix, you can get away with wearing a long leather jacket if you're in the Matrix. There is literally no other place or time in the world or any other world where it's okay to wear a long leather jacket. Like, just don't do it. Just don't. Fedoras, no. Stop it. But the other guy, the two transfer guys, they're both so cool. They're really good at brooding in corners. The first time you see them, they're sitting in separate corners. Like, they naturally are drawn to corners and, like, sitting on tables. And it's like, wow, they're cool. And also, like, the other dude, like, this silent dude with this, like, ginger hair just goes around fucking dudes up. He's a badass. Like, he's like some fucking T-1000 motherfucker. He is cool as shit, and, like, it's great when you get so, like, a fucking villain that's, just so fucking effortlessly evil and cool. Like, you got there's this chick in the movie as well, and she was fucking awesome at being a dick, and she ends up having a big fight. Mitsuko, her name is, and, like, she was the hot girl who just fucking immediately took to the game and runs around starting murdering people. The girl who played her is fucking awesome. Like, she's just a nasty piece of work. And when her and Mr. Cool Hair run into each other, they kill the fuck. Well, they try to kill the fuck out of each other, and he succeeds. But I thought that was a cool little scene. But because hang on, did I talk about them killing the teacher on the bus? I don't know, it doesn't matter. But they killed the teacher on the bus. I don't understand why, because I figured that he'd been in on it. The fact, yeah, this is a big thing that I jumped over there, is the fact that the guy who seems to be in charge of the whole thing is their former school teacher. And it's like, okay, I can understand, like, they, maybe the teachers have to put in an application and be like, this is why my students suck. I got stabbed in the ass. And, like, okay, that's his application. But it's like, like, all the military guys are like, they're being commanded by him. But he's only qualified as a teacher. So, like, it's like, okay, you get him to come and explain the situation to them, so it's like they can adjust it. But what level of authority does this man have where he can call the shots? He's just a teacher. Like, it really shouldn't be him who's in charge of all the security or the plan. All that, even though it's an evil plan, security, but like it just shouldn't be him. It just doesn't make sense because he starts fucking killing kids before they get into the fucking island, and that's bullshit. That's unfair. They didn't get a fair go. Throwing a knife at girl because she's watching the movie, talking, whispering through the video, she's causing a disturbance. Stabbing someone in the head causes far more of a disturbance than whispering. Like, it really does. She falls down dead in the center of the room, and everyone starts screaming. Hypocrite. Like, okay, I don't mind, him being bothered. Like, she shouldn't have been talking through the video. That's bad fucking movie etiquette. But, if his complaint is about disruption, his was at least twice as long. Probably 3 times as long. It took them a while to get back to that video. So, there's some egg on his face right there. And then, him killing Nobu, well, Nobu shouldn't have fucking stabbed him in the ass. What a day to come back to school. Like, that's his come back to school day on the field trip that fucking needs to... But, they'd have to be kind of idiots if it would have... It does make sense that no one would be aware that this is a thing. Like, if I was a teen... And, once a year, they're like, oh, yeah, we had another one of those things, and this person lived through all this jazz. Like, I just can't see myself going on any field trips. I think that, be like, oh, okay, go to school, that's all well and good. Don't go on the field trips. Like, obviously a field trip is, like, the best time to fucking strike. But, these kids... what do they know? They're the ruffians who are off to kill each other. Then they go off and they all get their weapons and they got to kill people. And like that's kind of like a nasty part of the whole scheme as well. I think with the way the weapons are displaced. It's like, okay, I understand the whole sort of like random weapons, like but all the weapons should at least be weapons, like a fucking pot lid. A paper fan, pair of binoculars, like, that's some dumb shit right there. I mean, the binoculars are handy, but, like, they're not going to do you much good in a confrontation. Like, the only thing that would be good, that was decent, that wasn't a weapon, was the tracker. That's the only thing that was, like, a super good idea. Oh, actually, in the bulletproof vest, except that fucking idiot gets shot, gives it 2 seconds, and then opens up his shirt, announcing loudly to the world, "Thank goodness I had my bulletproof vest. Fucking idiot, you deserve to get your fucking head cut off." Oh, Jesus Christ, get up and run away, pick a direction. But it's the cool guy who kills him, and then he gets a fucking bulletproof vest, so he's even harder to kill, which makes him even more like T-1000, which makes him even cooler. And then you got, what else am I talking about? I'm sort of jumping around a bit here, kind of a bit of back and forth, but I'm just sort of picking and choosing with things. I made some really vague notes on this one, and I'm kind of just going over to make sure that I don't sort of forget anything. Like, there's the hot chick from Kill Bill who was in that, fucking running around. And she's in a great scene. I was like, oh yeah, I remember her. She was in Kill Bill. And I don't think it's weird for me to say her because I was age appropriate at the time, and so now I assume that she's probably still attractive. So it's not weird for me to say I was attracted to her then, and it might be. I don't know. It's fuck off. If I Wikipedia and see her, they'll probably be like, oh yeah, she's still pretty, so I can still justify saying that. Just like Ren Stevens. So there. What was I talking about before I got into weird territory there? She's run along doing a thing, and fucking she gets her murder on hardcore. But the reason I needed to talk about her character and her is because it's more than she's hot, but like, and I don't have like I think I said in the first half that like, I had a thing for like an exchange student starting this chick's out. I don't have a weird kind of, but just in case someone starts thinking, I don't have a weird kind of like Japanese fetish thing where like I kind of, watch weird kind of, there's guys in like the Cringe channel who like Photoshop themselves next to anime girls and stuff like that, or did Japanese love dolls or anything, or they have these weird sort of desire. Their dream woman is like a childlike, submissive sort of like idiot who can't do anything for themselves. That kind of creeps me out a lot, really. Too much. That creeps me out so much. And but credit where credit's due. I'll call a spade, and if someone's hot, it's got to be said. Well, it doesn't have to be said. It's kind of weird as a passing comment, but I suppose I'm not even talking about like kind of equal rights or anything like this, like saying, because it's pretty much objectification. But a little bit of objectification never hurt anyone, and I'm just trying to make sure that if I'm going to come off as creepy in any regard, I'd rather come off as a bit of a dick than someone who's like a creepy fetishist or something like that. Because or some sort of someone with a weird kind of like hang up or kind of obsession or something weird like that. I'm not one of those dudes. I'm just a sleaze. But anyway, she goes around and she murders this dude and stabs him in the ding dong. Fair enough, because he's all getting rapey and shit, like shooting her in the face with a fucking bow and arrow. Well, a crossbow, I should say. And so rightly enough, she stabs the shit out of him. And she gets shot, after her fucking... It's a major bummer, She's like, fuck, she just kicked some ass, and now she gets murdered. But then she runs off and she meets this dude, and this is the first time where not even the first time, but I was like, this whole weirdness of people in this movie is just like a weird culture thing in like Japanese movies where it's like you've got this like sort of operatic sort of singing in the background, and people not like, it's like they're trying to. It's just the way they talk is so unrealistic, or the phrasing anyway. And it's. I'm trying to find the right way to talk about. It's like this kind of attempt at being innocent and trying to show this vulnerable, innocent naive, but just sounding like I suppose maybe it is just because they're teens, but sounding like so fucking young and saying some really dumb shit that sound like bad pop lyrics, and then her last word, like she's talking to this guy and it's like, so are you in love with someone, and sort of tiptoeing around this stuff, kind of like, and she talking to this guy, are you in love with someone? And he's like, yes. And she's like, not me. And he's like, no, of course not. But, they still have this weird moment, this sweet little moment of the two of them sitting together. And then, like, the last words being like, hey, can I tell you something? You look really cool. Like, if you're getting killed and it's like you just sit, I don't care if I'm sitting next to the person I'm in love with. Like, if I've been shot, my last words aren't going to be, you look really cool. Like, I imagine my last words would be like, oh, help me, I've been shot and I'm bleeding everywhere. Oh my god, this is the worst. Why? That would probably be like, I'm shitting my pants. I'm shitting my pants and I'm dying. Something along the lines of that would probably be my last word. Just that makes more sense, than like, hey, you're the coolest, and then he's like, you're the coolest girl in the world. So you're like, oh, how's that even comforting? Like, it's that's just such a shit moment. I suppose it's not like it's a nice moment between the two of them, but like, I just can't hear two people say like, "You look really cool," and just not think this, like, that's just the shittest writing. And Or, well, not even this shit. It's just like, what a shit thing to say. What an uninteresting sort of like last conversation to have about how cool you look. Fuck that. That's just the worst. But anyway. And then he fucking, but that's the whole thing. There is a bunch of like weirdness to these people, these idiots who are like overly kind of in love with. I suppose like a big thing is the teen things, but how it's expressed as well, like this overly fucking protective kind of self-sacrificing guys who are just idiots. Like, and I suppose that's a thing when you're a teen, like if you're on a bus with a hot chick and then all of a sudden everyone on the bus is told that you have to kill each other. Like, yeah, if you're a teen and you want to get laid, then maybe you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll look after you. But now it'd be like, okay, well, I wouldn't necessarily trust them, and are they going to slay me? Like, yeah, they're so quick to jump to trusting and all that stuff. And the dude who did it at the start, Kawada, with his fucking bandana and all that, he did it for some girl before. He's like, oh, I helped her, we made it to the end, it was the last two, and we said we'd go out, and then she fucking shoots him. And it's like, well, then like she failed to kill him, so he kills her. And then he's all like, oh, I need to think about her last smile. And she says, thank you. And it's like, that weirds me out as well. Why would she say thank you? Like no, I don't care if like, oh yeah, she really loved you. And she says, fuck that. She shot you. Like, don't get hung up on that. I mean, I get it that it's like, I mean, it's okay to say that maybe she did love you and all that stuff, but, she wanted to live as well. It's not a big mystery. It's like, all right, she did like you. You did keep her alive for a while, but she liked herself more, and that's okay. That's no fault of hers. That just means that, but don't like get hung up on it and come back to the island to fucking have this weird sort of pilgrimage. And I know for these dudes, like, going up to the girls and being like, it's like, oh, I'm going to protect you until the very last moment. This girl shoots a guy, and he's like, I wanted to save you, but now you must leave. And then she doesn't leave, and she gets shot. Like, these people, like, you're not doing them any favors by like putting them on a pedestal. Like, if anything, if you get these people to depend on you, and then something happens to you, then they're super fucked. Like, you just stop kind of treating them like fucking children. Let them kind of stand on their own feet for a minute. It's good to team up and all that stuff, but this kind of overly sort of self-sacrificing thing, that's just bad for you. That's not good. And then what happens if you live? You got this really unhealthy relationship because like this, like, it's like, is she gonna fucking sacrifice herself to save you? Like, yeah, man, fucking forget this shit. I'd be looking for some Ronda Rousey chick. Be like, like, I'll be a kept man if they get some fucking tough as nails lady going around killing the shit out of people. I'd be like, yep, okay, I'll do the cooking. Fucking, yeah, find a bit of balance. I wouldn't need, as much as I'd like to have people kind of fucking, not trying to kill me. I'd much rather have people trying to protect me than to kill me. I'd like to think that, I wouldn't sort of, just fucking, when confronted by someone with a gun, be like, oh, you're a really nasty person. And when my friend gets here, they'll sort you out. No, like, fucking stand up for yourself. Oh, God. These damn teens. Damn stupid teens. But I guess teens are, like, overly passionate anyway. They fall in love in fucking 2 seconds. No one likes teenagers. Like, and what... Yeah, no, you shouldn't either. Teenagers are probably the worst people. Children. I suppose the younger you get, the worse you are. I mean, if you're still a crap person after you've been a teenager, then it's like, you're just doomed to be a cunt. But, like, the thing is, people could be really shit as a child and a teenager, and at some point just level out. And I think that's why, because it never goes the other way around, really. You never get someone who's really cool as a kid and really cool as a teenager, and then after being a teenager, they become a fuckhead. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So, but yeah, so that's the thing is, there's so many people who get like get away with being a dick because like, oh, I was a teenager at the time, and me myself, like I've gotten away with so much shit where I can just be like, oh yeah, I was a teen, and like, and no, like I probably should have gotten like, you know, kicked in the butt one or two more, a couple more times anyway. Probably all should have, but excuse me, I'm yawning. Yeah. God. And then coming up to the end of that film, I was enjoying all the kind of, you know, I did get into the spirit of the overly dramatic teens who don't talk about their feelings but kind of do, kind of hinting at it, like, do you love someone? Oh, what do you think of this person? I think they really like you, but maybe I'm the one who likes you. Oh gosh, you know, they do all this. I mean, in between getting murdered, like everyone just talking about their crushes and things like that. Like that's what it comes out to. No one's saying like, man, I'd love a burrito right now. That's all like fucking really serious, or like, you know, their feelings, their emotive feelings. Everyone's detached themselves to someone. Where's this sense of independence? Like, where's it? But yeah, that does just kind of like, come on, guys, get your shit together. Everyone in that film, and then like the teacher as well. Like, yeah, I just keep coming back to that teacher, and like I love that character. Like, he's so good. Just he's got nothing. His daughter ringing him up and telling him that he's got bad breath through the phone. Like, oh, what a shit life he has. But then it's like, when you look at this guy, and it's like, he's in charge of all the kids killing themselves. And, like, he probably shouldn't have been a teacher in the first place. Like, this guy is fucked in the head. Got this obsession with the main girl, and stealing her cookies and eating her cookies, and then making the weirdest fucking painting of all of these dead children except her, and basically confessing this weird kind of like, you're the best one, you're my favorite. If I had to choose one, it would be you. And it's even good, like, it's even creepier because it's not a sexual attraction. It's just like this weird kind of like, I'm gonna like, I get the feeling that it's like he'd kill her, just set her free, and then like make her skin into a nice coat, so, you know, they could be together at all times or something like that. You know, it's just like, it's really creepy, weird shit. But it does, you know, then he getting himself killed. I think that was one of the greatest scenes of all time, with him getting shot like a motherfucker, riddled with bullets, and he's on the ground, presumably dead. And then his phone rings, and he gets up and getting up and answering the phone after being shot. That's just terrific. Like, that's one of my favorite things in any movie ever, I think. And you know, I think I'd actually forgotten that scene. I remember the first time watching it, you know, like, what the fuck? And just being so blown away by that scene, and just thinking it was so cool. And yeah, now again, years later, like, that is such a good scene. Like, that's one of those things that makes that movie fucking classic. Oh man, God, I'm really happy that I came back and watched it again. You know, there's some things, like I said, that are weird to me, and kind of don't. Well, you know, it is, you know, that's the whole thing. Me watching my DVDs is me going back and watching them and seeing how they've changed. And yeah, it's like, I do find it a little cornier, a little cheesier, I guess, than back then. But yeah, I still really like that film. I really do, and I'd still recommend it to anyone if you haven't seen it. So go check it out. I had a lot more fun. I know it's always been a fun movie. Excuse me, I'm yawning. But yeah, I was kind of worried that maybe I'd kind of come into it and sort of, like when I did come to putting it on, I was thinking that it might be, I was like, this could have been something that was really cool as a teen, and it might just really suck now. But it is, you know, it is just a different sort of, I'm in a different place in my life, and I still appreciate it. Just, there's a bit more kind of, sort of a bit more over the, no, it's always over the top. I don't know what, it's weird. I've talked about it now, and I've seen it now, and I can't really say what it is that, about the whole style of it. That I mean, I think it's just that corniness. I think there's like an unintentional corniness there, and I find it quite endearing, and so I'm never going to go back and watch the second one again. Or maybe I should go back and watch the second one. I don't own the second one, so technically I can't do it for the podcast, but I might check it out at one point. I'm going to give a special mention to the movie Dave this week, because I think that everyone in the world should watch that movie. Like, if you, like me, love body swap movies and sort of like, you know, Parent Trappy kind of like, oh my god, doppelganger movies, you know, then you'll love this. It's from the early 90s. Kevin Kline looks exactly like the President of the United States, and the President's a dick, Dave is a good guy. The President has a heart attack, and so Dave becomes the President. Hilarious. Yeah, watch that movie because it's amazing. Watch Battle Royale. It's also amazing. I have purposely not chosen a film for the next podcast because there's a couple of options and there's a couple of possibilities. I'm not entirely sure if I'm doing the next one by myself or with someone. If I'm doing it by myself, I haven't chosen which one I'd do. If I'm doing it with my sister, it would be basketball. And if I do it with my mate Hannah, it will probably be Freaky Friday, for a bit of Lindsay. Because everyone loves a bit of Lindsay. Like Freaky Friday, The Parent Trap, Mean Girls. How can you not love Lindsay Lohan? So, yeah, I've kind of been going on for a bit. Just to reiterate, if you want to get 10 points, which I don't know what you do with, tell me the error that I made in the first half of the podcast. Feel free, give us a like and a share on Facebook. You know, let's broaden our audience to 7 people. You know, so that'd be pretty cool. Maybe 8. I'm assuming that there's 6, which I think is optimistic. A gentleman's 4 would probably more appropriate, more accurate, I should say. Stick around. The next one probably, if I'm doing it tomorrow, it would be quite late. So, yeah. So I would like to do another one soon because I didn't feel like I did enough this week. But if I do one, I'll probably do one late tomorrow anyway, and have it up for Sunday. So now I'm going to go and do busy work. And I'm Tommy, and you've been listening to me watching my DVDs. I need to think of a good sign-off. Fuck it. Get out of here. Bye.